What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here with your $1,400 third stimulus check update and stimulus package update. As the House of Representatives yesterday morning passed the third stimulus check package in the U.S. House of Representatives, it will now go to the Senate for the final vote and passage, of which then you will receive $1,400 stimulus checks, $1,400 stimulus checks for children, $1,400 stimulus checks for adult dependents and college student dependents, as well as $3,000 to $3,600 expansion of the child income tax credit that will be paid to you in the form of monthly stimulus checks, $250 to $300 per month per child, as on the expansion of the child income tax credits. In addition to that, there's over $30 billion of mortgage assistance, rental assistance, property tax assistance, utility assistance, and an unemployment extension update of $400 per week, kicking in mid-March. So make sure to subscribe down below so you don't miss out on new updates on the third package, as well as the fourth package coming out called the Build Back Better package that has already been announced and will be between $2 and $3 trillion, which is actually a larger package than this package that is passing now. This package is the largest one to date, at least stimulus check-wise, and child stimulus check-wise, in addition to the $1,400. It's $1,400 for children. Obviously, it goes to the parents, plus the $3,000 to $3,600 child tax credits, equaling a total of $4,400 for children over the age of 6 through 17, and $5,000 for children under the age of 6. So yeah, this is the largest stimulus check yet to date, and the next stimulus package is going to be even more, $2 to $3 trillion. Also, don't forget to hit the like button for us, and let's jump right in. The FDA has granted emergency authorization for now a third vaccine in the United States, the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, which is only a one-shot vaccine. You only need to get one shot. However, because it is only one shot, it is less effective than the Pfizer and the Moderna vaccines that are two shots. As you can see here, Johnson & Johnson has pledged to provide the U.S. with 100 million doses by the end of June. And remember, that's equal to 200 million doses because it's only a one-shot vaccine. When combined with the 600 million doses from the two-shot vaccines made by Pfizer and Moderna scheduled to arrive by the end of July, there will be more than enough shots to cover any American adult who wants one. The Johnson & Johnson vaccine has a 72% efficiency rate compared to 95% in Pfizer and Moderna, although the Johnson & Johnson vaccine has also showed an 85% efficiency against severe forms of COVID-19 and 100% efficiency against hospitalization and death from the virus. Dr. Anthony Fauci says, quote, "Don't get caught up necessarily on the number game, because it's a really good vaccine, and what we need is as many good vaccines as possible. Rather than parsing the difference between 94% and 72%, accept the fact that now you have 3 highly effective vaccines, period." The Biden administration has now also purchased 100,000 doses of the Lilly antibody monoclonal cocktail drug that is famous for having treated former President Donald Trump when he caught the virus, and he took this antibody drug and, well, it seems to have worked at least somewhat. This move will increase the available supply of one of the few proven treatments for people with COVID-19. The antibody drugs are authorized for use in patients who are at high risk of becoming seriously ill but are not yet hospitalized. The federal government will pay $210 million for the initial purchase of 100,000 treatments of the therapeutic, which is a combination of a drug called Bamlamblam, which was authorized last November for high-risk patients, with a second drug known as Etstalavam. The combination received between the two shows data that it reduced the risk of hospitalization and death by 70%. This is good because positive cases, new people testing positive daily, and deaths are back on the rise after several weeks of a decline. We're now starting to see an increase of the curve, and this is most likely due to the variants and the mutations of the virus that are now in the US. There's multiple variations of the virus in the US, and will likely mean that we may have to have shots once per year, similar to a flu shot, to get immunization from the latest strains of the virus. Yesterday morning, the U.S. House of Representatives passed the third stimulus check package in the U.S. House of Representatives. It will now go to the Senate, on which they need to basically make a decision. Are they going to try to vote on it as is, because it has the $15 an hour minimum wage provision in there? But the Senate parliamentarian has ruled that it can't be in there and pass with the budget reconciliation process, which is the process that they're using to pass this bill, because there is no Republican support for it at all. The bill passed in the U.S. House of Representatives with a 219 yes vote to 212 no votes. Every single yes was Democrats. There was 2 Democrats that voted no. 99% of them voted yes, and 100% of the Republicans voted no to the third stimulus check package. Not a single Republican voted yes. So it will go to the Senate now, which will basically, the same thing will probably happen and will need to happen. But every single Democrat in the Senate will need to vote yes, all 50 of them. Then it will go to a tiebreaker vote, which will be the Vice President of the United States, Kamala Harris, which will cast the 51st vote to pass the bill through the reconciliation process. This is exactly what happened in the preliminary voting, which was an additional stage of voting that they needed to do, called the reconciliation process. They did that on the front half, which basically opened the door for the reconciliation process. Exactly that happened in that preliminary voting. 50 Democrats all said yes, including Democratic Senator Joe Manchin and Kirsten Sinema. And then Vice President Kamala Harris passed the bill with the 51 votes, the tiebreaker vote. That was the reconciliation process of the vote. It's an extra like provision that needed to be attached to this process, okay? Because there's no Republican support. Normally, you would need 60 votes to pass a bill, which means you need at least 10 Republicans. However, we don't expect a single Republican to vote for it, just like they did in the House. So they're passing it basically with the reconciliation process, which takes longer, but we're at the finish line now. It has passed the House. It now goes to the Senate. They really just need to make decisions on what they're going to do in the Senate. And we're going to be hearing out those details here starting today, as the Senate can overrule the Senate parliamentarian who has ruled that the bill cannot include the $15 an hour minimum wage. But the House of Representatives passed the bill with the $15 an hour minimum wage. So if that doesn't end up working, the Senate will have to pass the bill without the $15 an hour minimum wage. And then literally the same day or the next day, the House will re-vote on it and pass it. That's not really a big deal right there, because it's only about a 12-hour delay. And in the big scheme of things, that's not going to make a big difference. I see a lot of people saying that that's going to ruin everything. But worst case scenario, they'll pass this without the $15 an hour minimum wage at all. Okay. The deal is, though, is that the Democrats are trying to figure out how to include the $15 an hour minimum wage in the bill. And they have several different things that they're trying or will ultimately end up doing. Number one is their Plan B, they're calling it, where they will penalize large corporations, likely corporations that make over $1 billion, that do not pay $15 an hour minimum wage. They will have a penalty for them, which will bring in tax dollars, which means it affects the budget. Okay. They will also have a tax credit for small businesses that do pay the $15 an hour minimum wage. So that'll be money going out, a tax credit to small businesses, and money coming in from large businesses that don't pay the $15 an hour minimum wage. This will, in effect, affect the national budget, which is what needs to happen to pass this bill with the reconciliation process. So rewording that bill simply like that will probably make the Senate parliamentarian re-rule and say, okay, now it does affect the budget, so now it can be passed with the budget reconciliation process. According to Bernie Sanders, they're already working on this today, so they could have this done today with this provision in there. Now, the problem is, though, is that we have two or three Democratic senators, Joe Manchin and Kirsten Sinema, that do not want to pass the bill with the $15 an hour minimum wage. The real question is, are they going to vote on it, yes or no? And if they do vote no, ultimately on the $15 minimum wage, even if the Senate parliamentarian gets it included, then they'll have two options. Number one is they'll have to do a compromise bill, or a compromise portion of the bill, I should say. They'll alter the minimum wage portion of the bill to what they can get passed. So, number one, the Republicans have a counter proposal at $10 an hour minimum wage. The current minimum wage is $7.25, although only around 40% of the country actually uses that. 60% of the country, other states, basically have imposed a higher minimum wage, such as Florida, which has already passed a $15 an hour minimum wage. However, it goes up in steps and will not get all the way to $15 an hour in Florida until the year 2026. Goes up by about a dollar or two per year until then. That's very similar to how the $15 an hour federal minimum wage would work in this package. Although people that are against it say that we shouldn't be doubling the federal minimum wage, going from $7.25 to over doubling to $15 an hour in the course of 5 years when our economy is basically in a recession right now and dealing with a once in a 100-year pandemic. Republicans have a counter proposal to raise it to $10 an hour minimum wage. And Democratic Senator Joe Manchin says that he'd be willing to do $11 an hour minimum wage. So if they don't get Joe Manchin and Kirsten Sinema's vote, they could simply go to them, which they're probably doing today, feeling them out and see how they're going to vote. And if one of them says they absolutely will not vote for the package with the $15 an hour minimum wage, even though for the greater good, there's all, hundreds of other things in the package, they may have to go the compromise route where they do a $10 or $11 an hour minimum wage, which is still a 50% raise over $7.25. Take half of $7.25, which is $3.62. $3.62 raise. You add that to $7.25, and you get less than $11 in the minimum wage. So if they raise it to $11, there's over a 50% increase in there. That could happen. Or ultimately, if they can't make a deal on the minimum wage, then they may have to take the minimum wage out completely and try to pass that at a later time. To pass that at a later time, they will never be able to do $15 an hour. I'm just telling you right now, whether you're for $15 an hour or against $15 an hour, there's a lot of people on both sides. Some people love it. Some people hate it. Some people are kind of like in the middle. But there's a lot of strong feelings about the $15 an hour minimum wage. If they have to take this bill out, or this portion of the bill out, and vote on it as a standalone bill, it will not pass at $15 an hour. They will be able to pass it likely at $10 an hour because they'll be able to get Republican support. Remember, they'll need 10 Republicans to vote on a standalone bill to pass it. It's very unlikely they'll even do it as a reconciliation process. And then remember, the Senate parliamentarian ruled that they can't anyways, but they might be able to modify the wording to get that done. But if the Democrats, Joe Manchin and Kirsten Sinema, aren't going to vote for the whole package now with $15 an hour minimum wage, they for sure won't vote for $15 an hour as a standalone bill. So they'll probably have to do something like a $10 or $11 an hour minimum wage as a standalone bill. If they can't pass it in this bill, they'll likely do that right after they pass this bill if they have to do it as a standalone. But it'll be at $10 or $11 an hour. And I expect they'll probably do that immediately. Right after this bill, when they pass this, they'll probably also start moving on the $10,000 of student loan forgiveness. President Joe Biden has said multiple times that he is in favor of canceling at least $10,000 in student loan debt, although he did say he does not want to do $50,000 in student loan debt. However, we have Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer and a lot of other high-profile Democrats, such as Democratic Senator Elizabeth Warren and also AOC from the House of Representatives, who have been pushing and making public press conferences to raise more than to do more than $10,000 of student loan debt up to $50,000. Either way, President Biden said he is in favor of $10,000 of student loan debt. And Chuck Schumer says that he can simply do this through a presidential executive order. Biden wasn't so sure about it. And since then, he has said that the White House is looking into the legalities of if he can do it through a presidential executive order. I expect right after this package passes is when we will start to see a lot of movement on the student loan forgiveness, possibly the Social Security increases of $200 per month that Biden has. As you can see here directly on joebiden.com, the Biden Emergency Action Plan to Save the Economy. This is a previous thing on his website, but it's still here on his website. It says he wants to increase Social Security checks by $200 per month, as proposed by Senator Wyden and colleagues. Seniors and people with disabilities are uniquely at risk right now, and he also wants to forgive a minimum of $10,000 per person of student loan forgiveness. These two are not included in the third stimulus check package bill. However, if you're a senior on Social Security, you will be getting the $1,400 stimulus checks along with stimulus checks for children and also for adult dependents and college student dependents. But I expect that right after the pass the third stimulus check package, that these two things will become a much more priority. They're not focused on these things right now because they're not in the bill. And well, who's kidding who? All the focus right now is on passing the bill. It's already passed the House and is now at the Senate. So after they pass this bill finally and the checks go out, then the dust settles, then they'll refocus on the student loan forgiveness, possibly the Social Security increase, and the next stimulus package, which is called the Build Back Better package and will be mostly known as an infrastructure package. However, there will be multiple different stimulus provisions in there. They could include a fourth stimulus check, they could include the student loan forgiveness, they could include Social Security increases, they could include monthly stimulus checks, they could include anything in this next stimulus package. This next stimulus package is said to be even bigger than this one and will be between $2 and $3 trillion. The good news is they're already starting to work on this in the background. There's subcommittees of the House, which have nothing to do right now because they've already passed their portion in the House, are said to have already been working on this package. Remember, they have dozens and dozens and dozens of aides that write these bills, and they are said to have already been working on the next stimulus package. That's good news because, as you know, these things take time. They simply don't get passed in a day or a week. So the good thing is they're already working on portions of the package now so that they can speed this process along and not have it take 9 months or anything close to that. So make sure you subscribe down below. It's completely free. Just click subscribe, click the bell icon to all notifications. If you want to get notifications when we go live, which is every day at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., 8 p.m., and 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I will be keeping you updated on all these different things. The third stimulus check package, the fourth stimulus package called the Build Back Better package, student loan forgiveness, Social Security increases, mortgage, rental, property tax, and utility assistance, the child stimulus checks, and more. So make sure to subscribe. Share this video with your family and friends so that they know about this too. There's a share button down there also. And you can click on this top video here to watch my newest stimulus check video next. And this video teaches you how to start your own business selling products on Amazon FBA. I have several students this week alone that have posted screenshots of their Amazon sales selling products on Amazon, and they have replaced their complete 9-to-5 income. So click on one of these videos to watch them next. Thanks, guys, and I will see you in the next video.